Good morning. I'm very pleased to welcome you to the Smay webinar. The main topic today is fire dampers, classification, design and assembly. My name is Marta Bzdyl and I'm the Export Sales Support Manager at Smay with over 15 years of experience. Smay has been operating in the ventilation industry for nearly 30 years. Our business is based on two main pillars: comfort ventilation, responsible for distributing and regulating air in all types of facilities, and fire ventilation, ensuring the safety of people and property in the event of fire, supporting emergency and firefighting services, and facilitating evacuation from the building during a fire. We are the market leader with highly qualified team in pressure differential systems and fire dampers, about which today will be our meeting. Today's meeting will be led by Radosław Sikorski.
It will be a great pleasure for me to host our presentation. My name is Radek Sikorski and I am Technical Support Manager in the Export Department of Smay company. In my work, I am dedicated to providing support to designers, sellers, contractors and investors at all stages of the investment process. I have many years of experience working with ventilation systems gathered both in design office and on construction sites.
Radosław graduated of the University of Science and Technology in Krakow, where he studied power engineering and environmental engineering, specializing in industrial ventilation and air conditioning. And he also graduated the Warsaw University of Technology, where he studied smoke extraction systems, fire ventilation. Before we start our meeting today, please let me provide some organizational information. Our meeting will last about 40 minutes. During the training, you can ask questions in chat. For the convenience of participants, chat is moderated so that questions and answers appear at the same time. If you are not able to answer all your questions during the training, we'll be sent you answers by email after the training. In case of longer conversations, we can invite you to an individual chat to conduct further correspondence. Our experts will be at your disposal in the chat up to 30 minutes after the webinar ends. You can also leave your additional data, email or phone, with your inquiry, and then our staff will contact you directly. All training will be recorded. After training, you will receive a link to the record by email provided during registration. You will also receive personal certificates from participation in the training. We invite you to participate and ask questions. In case of technical problems, please write in a chat. Thank you for your attention, and now I give the floor to Radosław.
Thank you, Marta, for the introduction. Like Marta managed to mention, Smay is leading manufacturer of high-quality dampers. We produce over 90,000 of them every year. We would like to share our experience with you and introduce our assortment of fire and smoke control dampers. I would like to begin by introducing you to the agenda for today's webinar. On the beginning of our meeting, I would like to tell you about the typology of fire dampers. I will tell you about the difference between cut-off fire dampers and smoke control dampers and show you some of our products. Then I will go into the theoretical introduction. So I will talk about documents, standard and fire classification. After that, I will show you mounting methods of Smay fire dampers in different partition types. The next thing I would like to say about our sets of fire dampers called battery of dampers. We have a certified damper connection solutions, which is incredibly useful for large airflows. I will also raise the subject of application of fire dampers in single or multi-fire compartment systems. After that, I will say some words about minimal distance according to European standard EN 1366 Part 2 and about tightness of fire dampers. At the end, I will show you some of the most common design and mounting mistakes. Fire protection devices can be divided into two groups: cut-off fire dampers, which are intended to use in household ventilation installations, and smoke control dampers, which are intended for fire ventilation systems. They differ not only in the application, but also in the construction. Cut-off fire dampers intended for HVAC systems are equipped with a thermal release, which will close the damper automatically if the surrounding temperature reaches 72 Celsius degrees. They are designed to protect openings in the fire separation walls to stop the fire from spreading. They can also be equipped with actuators and be closed on basis of FAS system control. In contrast, dampers for fire ventilation, called smoke control dampers, do not have a thermal release because they are designed to be controlled exclusively by an external fire protection system by two-way actuator. They can be used to exhaust smoke or provide compensating air during a fire, and their open or closed state depends on the fire scenario. In our offer we have two types of round cut-off fire dampers, KTM and KTSO, which differ in dimensional range, and rectangular cut-off fire dampers and smoke control dampers. Rectangular dampers for both purposes are available in two versions, one blade KWP and multi-blade WKP. WKP multi-blade dampers are perfect for situations where mounting space is limited, as well as in the transfer function in the wall. We have recently introduced the WKZO multi-blade cut-off fire damper with the fire resistance class EIS 240. This is the highest classification currently possible. However, we extended the test time, and it turned out that the damper was able to maintain its parameters for a 6 hours long in fully developed fire. It is a unique product on the market. In terms of nomenclature, the letter E in fire damper's name stands for equipped with an electric actuator, whereas the letter S says that the damper is equipped in spring mechanism. What is also important, there are two types of WKP-P smoke control dampers. WKP-PEJ is for single fire compartment, and WKP-PEW is for multi-compartment. I will show you the difference between them later in the presentation. For detailed data for each damper, such as its classification for different partitions, available dimensions, and installation guidelines, you can find in datasheets available on our website. Now I would like to say something about the regulations that our fire protection devices are tested according to. As you can see, the cut-off fire dampers for HVAC systems are regulated and tested according to the following three standards. EN 1366 Part 2 describes the test method. EN 15650 is the harmonized standard which contains the requirements for this product group and which is the basis for CE marking. And the last one, EN 13501 Part 3, specifies classification requirements. Smoke dampers are part of smoke control systems, which are regulated by the following three standards. EN 1366 Part 10 contains the test methodology and also refers to EN 1366 Part 2, which means that smoke control dampers must meet the same requirements as fire dampers. EN 101 Part 8 is a harmonized standard for smoke control dampers, in which requirements for this group of products can be found, and thanks to that they can be marked with the CE symbol. And the last one, EN 13501 Part 4, specifies classification requirements. Speaking of classification, on this slideshow we can see examples of fire classifications of two of our products. Based on this, I would like to describe you step by step what each symbol stands for. First of all, letter E stands for fire integrity. It is the ability to resist exposure to fire and not allow it to get to the other side of the material. Letter I stands for insulation. It is the ability to stop temperature transfer through a fire damper. 120 is the time given in minutes during which the parameters are met. VEW means that the damper can be installed directly in the wall. HOW means that the damper can be installed directly in the ceiling. Next one is inside-outside, and that means that the criteria are fulfilled no matter from which side the fire acts on the damper. Letter S means smoke leakage, which is the ability of an element to reduce or eliminate the flow of smoke from one side to the other. 1500 is the value of the under pressure during test. It is given in pascals. C10,000 means that the damper has passed the test of 10,000 cycles of opening and closing. This criterion must be met to use the damper in smoke control systems. AA means automatic activation. It can be also MA, which means manual activation. And the last symbol is multi. It describes the application in a specific fire compartment. This damper is intended to use in multi-compartment smoke control systems. For single compartment smoke control damper, there is no I parameter because it is not required by a standard. But there is additional value, the 600. It defines the temperature at which the test was conducted. For multi-compartment smoke control dampers, this temperature is over 1000 Celsius degrees according to European standards. VED means that a device is also intended to use on duct. And it was for smoke control dampers and for cut-off fire dampers for HVAC systems. Fire classification is quite shorter. It ends on S parameter. Fire protection devices are tested in 300 pascals of under pressure, and the test involves 300 cycles, but it can be also 1000 cycles. In the next few slides, I'd like to show you several possible installation methods of our products. Please note that the specific informations about mounting methods for each damper are available on our website in datasheets and installation manuals. Generally, all fire dampers are intended to install in walls and ceilings. However, it is possible to install fire damper in some distance of the wall. According to the European standard, the maximum distance between a fire damper and partition is 1 meter. Approval for mounting the damper in this configuration must be preceded by an additional test confirming meeting the fire resistance requirements. I will show you an example of such installation later on. Our company also offers sets of fire dampers called batteries of fire dampers, which are designed for ventilation openings with area over 1.5 square meters. We have products designed for HVAC systems up to 6 square meters and for smoke removal up to 10 square meters. I will talk about them in a later part. We have also products that are intended for use on either single or multi-compartment smoke control ducts. We want to show you several installation methods and also present our products. And for this reason, for each example includes a different damper for a different method. As I said before, all installations methods for each fire damper are listed in our documents available on our website. First example is KWPO, cut-off fire damper, located in rigid wall. This product is certified for 120 minutes fire resistance when installed in walls which thickness is 115 millimeters or more. This installation method is sealed by using cement, mortar, cement and lime, or concrete. On the right, the technical drawing that can be found in our documents. It shows the dimensions of the opening prepared in the wall. Here we have scheme of the installation of WKPO in rigid wall. Because of its construction, the driving system is localized directly on axis of rotation. It is covered by a special casing that provides easy access for service by protecting the actuator during nominal operating time. The multi-blade fire dampers have non-standard dimensions because of additional 130 mm for actuator casing. So there are two options to prepare opening. It can be customized opening for exact shape or a slightly larger rectangular opening. In the second case, the space below and above the actuator, shown in orange in the drawing, should be filled with the same material that the wall is made of. WKPO fire damper is certified for 2 hours in walls which thickness is 125 mm or more. This installation method is carried by using mortar. Here we can see the smallest dimensions of WKP smoke control damper, which is 200 by 200 mm. As you can see, the actuator casing is bigger than damper's external dimensions, but the procedure of installation is exactly the same as in the previous example. Opening can be customized as on the drawing or a rectangular one. Installation method of KTM cut-off fire dampers in light wall. It is really important to properly prepare the wall for this kind of installation. The opening should be matched to the size of the damper according to the guidelines provided in the manual. As you can see in the visualization, steel profiles must be used around the opening to make it stronger and to make sure that the fire damper doesn't fall down during a fire. The opening is additionally covered by 2 layers of gypsum boards, and then damper is installed on high-density mineral wool. That opening is closed each side by flange of 15 mm gypsum board. The wall thickness must meet the requirements of fire resistance class 120 minutes according to EN 1363 Part 1. This standard determines the thickness of steel profiles and the gypsum boards, amount of their layers, and also density of mineral wool to reach the same class of the wall as prepared for fire test. Next one is installation method of WKP smoke control damper in light wall. Wall construction is made by the same procedure as previous one, and there is no possibility to make customized opening for this case, so it has to stay rectangular one, and free spaces should be filled with mineral wool. Installation method of KWPP smoke control dampers in ceiling. This method is quite similar as installation in rigid wall, but additionally we recommend to use supporters that hold the damper until mortar hardens. As you can see, the minimum thickness of ceiling is 150 mm, and the fire resistance class of KWPP is 120 minutes. Installation method of KWPL cut-off fire dampers beyond a rigid wall. This installation is made in ProMat technology. The part of installation that is between fire damper and rigid wall is made as multi-compartment smoke control duct. More details you can find in installation methods shared on our website. One more thing, I would like to emphasize that the steel ventilation duct cannot be a standard HVAC duct. It must be a duct intended for use in a single compartment smoke control duct. Installation method of KTS fire dampers beyond the rigid wall. In this case, we recommend using wool as insulation material because it is needed to use material that can bend over the duct. For this type of fire dampers, fire classification depends on installation methods. As you can see, in the distance of 1 meter from rigid wall, they have classification of 90 minutes, while the KTS mounted directly in the rigid wall has classification of 120 minutes. Installation method of WKPP smoke control dampers on single compartment smoke control duct. VED indication in the classification code for single compartment systems means that the product is intended to use in a duct that goes through vertical partitions. It doesn't specify where exactly fire dampers should be installed on. So as you can see, it can be at the end of the duct or even on the top of the duct. It can be mounted either vertically or horizontally in this case. Installation method of KWPP fire dampers on single compartment smoke control duct. This type of the damper is intended to use in multi-compartment smoke control duct, but it is also acceptable to use it on single compartment smoke control duct because multi is higher class than single. And here we can see installation method of KWPP fire dampers on multi-compartment smoke control duct. There is a significant difference compared to single compartment smoke control duct. According to EN 13501 Part 4, VED indication in multi-compartment systems means the orientation of the smoke control damper. As you can see on those two examples, the direction of duct doesn't matter. In both cases, fire damper is installed vertically. As I mentioned before, our company offers also sets of fire dampers, which are intended for ventilation openings which area is over 1.5 square meters. Sets of KWPO cut-off fire dampers intended for HVAC systems are certified according to harmonized standard. Their maximum area is 6 square meters. Batteries of KWPP for fire ventilation systems have separated a document called National Technical Assessment, which allows us to place them on the market. Their maximum area is 10 square meters. How to properly specify set of fire dampers? Basically, there are 3 steps we have to follow. Firstly, we have to define type of dampers, which depends on the system. As I said before, KWPO are for HVAC systems and KWPP are for smoke control systems. Secondly, we have to define dimensions of the set. It is measured as internal cross-section of the connection duct, so connection flanges are not taken into account. And the first step is to check if the wall type meets the requirements of the installations. It can be mounted only on rigid wall or in ventilation shaft and should have appropriate thickness. All details are included in installation manual in batteries. Now I will show you a video demonstrating the proper way to install a fire damper set. It is very important that a set of dampers reach the same parameters of fire integrity and fire insulation which are declared for fire dampers by the manufacturer. For this reason, connections between dampers must be sealed with the use of mineral wool and intumescent gasket. And also steel connectors that goes onto inside fire dampers flanges. Now I will talk about fire dampers in single or multi-fire compartment application. I would like to present the fire damper application that depends where they are located at. This scheme comes from the European standard EN 12101 Part 8, and it is 3D visualization of 2D drawing that you can find in that document. Number one is single compartment smoke control system. They are highlighted in yellow in the figure. Within them, single compartment ducts and dampers are used. Number two is a multi-compartment smoke control system. It is highlighted in red color. Within them, multi-compartment ducts and dampers are used. Number three is ventilation shaft. It is treated as multi-compartment smoke control system because it is connected to more than one zone. Number six is smoke exhaust fan. Multi-compartment smoke control dampers are located between ventilation shaft and between two compartments. Also, it has to be used on multi-compartment smoke control duct. The standard 1366 Part 2 specifies the procedure for a fire test and includes a recommendation to use in practice in a building application. As a company that provides fire protection equipment, we have a lot of questions about the minimum distances for our fire dampers. There is no difference between fire dampers in the market tested according to EN 1366 Part 2. The standard says that the minimum distance between fire dampers for two separate ventilation systems should be 200 millimeters or more. And in the case of distance between fire damper and building structure, it should be 75 millimeters or more. Please remember that these distances are established for safety, which includes proper installation of fire dampers and maintaining proper construction strength of the partition. There is a possibility to install fire dampers in smaller distance than the standard says, but it has to be preceded by fire tests which approve that the fire classification when smaller distance is reached. For example, our company provides KTM dampers which positively passed fire tests and can be installed in 10 millimeters between each other and also 10 millimeters between fire damper and building structure. But it is the only one exception. Distances between our other fire dampers are determined by standard I have mentioned before. Tightness of fire dampers. The topic of tightness of dampers is becoming more and more popular. High tightness of the dampers brings benefits in the form of minimizing pressure losses in ventilation system. In addition, the use of tight devices gives the possibility of operating at a lower pressure, and thanks to that, it allows to reduce operating costs related to energy consumption. The basis parameters that describes the tightness of the fire damper is an E parameter. Additionally, according to EN 1751, we can classify product in two separate parameters, such as casing tightness, which range is from A to D, and shut-off tightness, with range from 1 to 4. Casing tightness of our products is mostly declared as C. Those parameters depend, of course, on type of the fire damper and their dimensions and shape. We not only deliver fire protection equipment, but also provide a technical and service support. Our experience over the years has shown that the design and installation of dampers causes several problems that keep repeating from time to time. I would like to point out the things you should pay attention to and explain why correct execution is so important. First of all, inappropriate selection of damper for pressure and flow velocity of medium. I have mentioned before that cut-off fire dampers are tested in 300 pascals of under pressure, while smoke control dampers are tested in 1500 pascals. We have to take into consideration because fire dampers for HVAC system might not be able to meet requirements which comes from smoke control systems. The next issue is velocity of the medium. It should stay below 10 meters per second. Second issue is mounting too many installations in the wall opening. We are conscious that nowadays, due to safety and comfort, there are a lot of installation in building structure. And for this reason, distances between them are decreased to minimum to provide as much useful space as possible. Therefore, it is very common to make changes on site that are not included in the design. It is very important that the installation is physically done as designed, because not maintaining the proper distances may be a reason for not recognizing the classification of the fire damper. The next thing is wrong dimensions of the opening. During installation, it is crucial to follow producer manuals. Otherwise, fire dampers might not meet requirements and their fire resistance can be different than declared. If the opening is too small, there is no problem to make it bigger to right dimensions. If it is too big, you can fill the space, as we have shown talking about installation methods. Application of dampers in place where they are not intended for instance, away from building partitions. Please remember that it is the designer's responsibility to verify if the fire damper can be installed in the way he or she wants. There are a lot of problems when contractor or company realize that fire damper doesn't have installation method and fire classification as it was designed. Wrong selection of the damper for the system type which they are intended for. There are a lot of projects where KWPO cut-off fire dampers, which are intended for HVAC systems, are used in mixed systems, which means that day-by-day ventilation and smoke control systems simultaneously. In this kind of installation, the use of KWPP smoke control damper is necessary. They are intended for smoke control systems, but as I mentioned before, they have to meet the requirements that are set for cut-off fire dampers as well. And the last one, incorrect minimum distances. If we do not keep minimal distances during installation of fire dampers, they might not meet requirements of the application, and their fire classification might be different than declared by the procedure. In our documents, you will find recommended installations method which have been confirmed by fire test we have carried out. However, we are aware that the site situation may differ slightly from our drawings presented in the instructions. You can count on us and our fire testing experience. We share our ideas and advice because we believe there is always a way out of a difficult situation. I am well aware that there is still a lot to be said on this subject. I believe that our technical support team have been answering on your questions during my presentation. If you have additional questions, doubts, or need a selection of devices, I invite you to contact us. Our team is always ready to help you.
Radek, thank you for the presentation. Thank you very much again for participating in today's webinar, and I invite you to ask questions in the chat. Our experts will be available to you for 30 more minutes.
That was a pleasure for me to host our presentation. Thank you for your time and have a good day.